Hi, it's Heather from Strings and Threads. Welcome and thank you so much for being here. I was tagged by Julia from Doodley's Crochet, aka Julia, to do random Rusty Q&A. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to look down for the questions because there are 16 questions to answer and I didn't memorize all of them. So forgive me if I look down for the questions. So I thought I would play along and tag a few people at the end, so stay tuned for that. The first question is, besides yarn, is there anything you collect? And the answer is no. Reason being, I don't like having extra stuff to clean and dust and take care of and finding places for. So I don't collect things. I do have quite a bit of yarn, so you could probably say I collect yarn. I shouldn't say quite a bit. I have a big tote full. The tote is overflowing a little bit. Hopefully soon I'll have a way to organize that. But that's probably what I have the most of, the same thing in my house. So number 2, what is your most prized possession? And I would have to say my house. We were very, very lucky over COVID. We had the opportunity to build a house with several acres of woods. And it's very private and it's really a lovely place to be. And so that probably is my most prized possession. I'm really grateful that we have the opportunity to be where we are. Number 3, name a book or movie that is important to you. That was tricky to me because there were lots of books that I've liked. There's lots of movies that I've liked, but I don't know what they mean by that's important to you. Does it mean like it gives you a good message or it reminds you of something in your life? I'm not really sure. I can say that I've really enjoyed The Hunger Games. I really enjoyed that book. I read it myself and then I read it out loud with my kids. And I could probably sit down and read it again. I enjoyed that story so much. I don't know if it's important to me, but anyway. Number 4, how many languages can you say thank you? Well, I can say thank you. I can say Dankeschön or Danke, and that's German, and I can say gracias, which is Spanish. So I guess 3. What is the most interesting place you've visited? I have to say, and I go back every year, going to Gen Con in Indianapolis every year because it's a neat experience. If you're not familiar with Gen Con, it's a gaming convention for board and role-playing games. And the people there just they feel free to be themselves. So there's lots of people who go in costume. There's lots of people who do cosplay there. And I love it's interesting because the people are very interesting and feel free to be themselves. And also because it's interesting because I get to try new games and try new things. They also have a crafting section. This year I'm going to be teaching a class there. I'm going to be teaching my dragon head dice bag pattern of all things as a class there. So there's lots of interesting things to do there. I signed up for a class to make a chainmail bracelet. I've never done that before, so I get to try new things and be creative there. I love it. Number 6, are you a morning bird or night owl? And I have to say neither. Unfortunately, I guess it makes life easier if you're one or the other, but I cannot stand getting up super early. And I also cannot stay up late. So, anything after 11 is really pushing it for me, 11 at night. And anything before 7 is miserable for me too. Unfortunately, I live most of my life feeling miserable when I wake up because I have to get up earlier than that most of the time. 7, tell us about your animal family. Well, I don't have any animal families that live in my house, and I really never have. When I was younger, I had some hermit crabs, but that was about it. But we have a lot of wildlife that is around our house. We get turtles that walk past our back door. We have tons of rabbits and squirrels. We have deer that are around us all the time. So we have a lot of animal wildlife around us, but we don't have any that live in our house. That's just the way that I prefer it. I know that a lot of people are so attached to their animals, and I understand why. I really do. I just have enough on my plate with my kids and my schedule and work and trying to do YouTube. I don't need the extra responsibility. Okay, what is the next one? Number 8. What show or movie do you rewatch? Unfortunately, I can't rewatch it anymore because I don't have any streaming services that play it anymore, but I rewatched all of the Star Trek, the original, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and the other one I think was just called the Enterprise. That was the one that was supposed to take place before all the other ones. I watched each of those so many times. I don't know what it is, but I just really love imagining what it would be like out in space, what it would be like to meet other cultures out in space, to see if there's any other life and what that life looks like. To me, it's very interesting, and it sparks that kind of imagination with me whenever I watch those shows. But now I don't, whatever service is playing Star Trek, I don't have. So I haven't been able to watch it in a while, and I am going through withdrawal. I would love to watch them again. I think that Voyager was my favorite one. Number 9, how do you recharge? Probably by crocheting or just taking a short nap. Sometimes during the day, I just feel really like sluggish. And when I'm working, obviously I can't do this. I just have to try and power through the best I can. But when I'm not working, if I just get a chance to lay down for 20 minutes, I'll set an alarm for 20 minutes and close my eyes. I feel so much better after that. I would love to be able to do that every day, but unfortunately life doesn't give me that opportunity. Number 10, what is your favorite way to travel? Well, none. I like to travel. I like to see places, but I'd like to teleport there. I hate long car drives. I hate the stress of flying. I get high anxiety thinking about how to pack carry-on bags and how early you have to be there and going through all the metal detectors and all of the things that you need. It just causes me a lot of anxiety. Trains are okay. Trying to think. I don't know if it's my favorite way to travel, though. I like being able to get there and have your car there so you can still continue to drive wherever you're traveling. So I don't know. My favorite way would be teleportation if it existed. Number 11, do or did you have a nickname? Not anymore, but when I was young, Heather was, I was born in the early 70s, and Heather was a super popular name. The flower power people were naming their kids after flowers, and Heather is a type of flower. So when I was in elementary school, there was Heather B, Heather C, Heather D, and Heather S. As I got up to high school and all the elementaries poured into the middle school and the middle school poured into the high school, there were 12 Heathers in my graduating class. So, and in order to differentiate me from the other Heathers, my classmates called me one of two things. My teachers used to call me Heather B. So some of the kids called me Heather B. And my mom was remembering, she told me this story a while ago. She said, when you were young, if we go to the grocery store and you'd see someone you'd know, they'd say, hey, look, there's Heather B. Like that was my full name. And another one that the kids would call me, because it sounded close to my last name at the time. They'd call me Bergie. So I haven't been called either of those in a really long time. My last name is different now than it was when I was a child. So I don't have a nickname now, but it was either Heather B or Bergie. 12. Are you an introvert or extrovert? I would say for the most part an introvert, but if I'm in a setting that I'm very comfortable in, I can be more extroverted and I feel a lot more comfortable talking to people. But a lot of times if I'm at a party and I don't know a lot of people, I will find somebody and I'll kind of stick with them unless I notice that they're getting annoyed, and then I just kind of go off by myself and walk around and hope nobody notices. But I'm not really comfortable where I don't know a lot of people, so I'm not extroverted in that way. But if I'm in a setting where I know the people and feel comfortable, I am more extroverted. Number 13, what was your first official job? Now, if official, they mean professional. When I graduated from college, I got a job as a music teacher at a public school. So that was my first professional job. But my dad owned several businesses when I was growing up. And the first one that I worked at was, he had a fruit store. And so I learned to do the register then. I would be the cashier. And we didn't have an official cash register that showed you how to make change. So my mom taught me how to count back change without the use of a calculator or cash register, which came in handy because then my dad also, after he did that, he worked as a newspaper deliverer to stores and stuff, like in bulk. But he would have to put the newspapers together and you'd have to get up at like 2 a.m. and do that so that you could deliver them to the stores in time for people to get their morning newspaper. So I would work with him and I would stuff newspapers. But then when I was old enough to, I got a job at Burger King, and they always put me on the drive-through because at the time their drive-through register didn't have a calculator or the ability to tell you what change somebody would get, a customer would get back. Their front register registers did, but not the one for the drive-through. And since they knew I could count back change, I was always put on drive-through cashier. So that was a little bit of my history. Number 14, if money were no object, how would you spend your day? I would love to spend my day just like this, talking to my friends on YouTube. You guys are really good friends to have. I'm so lucky. And I would also be creating crochet designs and making patterns. I just love that kind of stuff. I feel like at heart, I am a yarn artist. You know, I would love to be able to refer to myself as that, but I don't make any money doing that, so I cannot call myself a yarn artist. But if someday that were to grow, I would love for that to be my life. I think if money were no object, I would probably travel a little bit more. But other than that, just my day-to-day would be just this, you know, hanging out with my friends on YouTube, creating. And I know that my husband is the same way. He says, when I retire, I'm going to go into my wood shop and I'm going to make things. And he's also a very creative person. He will not do YouTube, so don't mention that. I talked with him a little bit about it, and he's like, YouTube is a job you don't get paid for. So he doesn't see it as something fun for him. I see it as fun, even though I'm not getting paid for it, because of all of the people that I've met and all of the fun interactions and all of the creativeness that I've seen and that I've been able to express. So number 15, if you become ruler of your own country, what would the first law you passed be? Gosh, I read through this and I tried to think through some things before. This is a tough one because there are obviously rules that have to be in place in order for a society to function. You can't just go around murdering whoever you want. So like the first law, I don't know, what would the most important rule of a society be? I don't know. Something that I would like to have passed that never would, because you can't enforce it, is to be respectful of each other. You know, there is so much disrespect out there. And I guess there's no way to define that. You know, disrespect can be the way you talk to people, could be, you know, stealing things from people. There's a lot of ways that you can be disrespected. But I think if people could keep in their mind to be respectful, that we could have a good, you know, that can be part of a good society. But if you're ruling a country, I'm just being realistic. You have to have some basic rules in place, just like every country does, in order to make it work. Number 16, name something you're proud of. My children. My children are what I am so proud of. I love the people that they're becoming. I love the talents that they have. I love now that they're older, we can sit down and have really good conversations. I'm just so proud of them. I hope that you enjoyed those answers. Now I have to tag people, so I am going to tag Alie from Alie Artifacts, April Lee from Be Wowed by April Lee, and Kenyadda from Kenyadda Creates. I have the questions listed in my description, so check those out if you would like to participate. Have a great day. Bye.